welcome to Sarah's Stampin' Retreat. Today we're going to be making some cards using this Dandy Garden Suite from the new mini catalogue. So we're going to be focusing on this gorgeous DSP, which I'll show you in a second, and then this bundle that has the dandelion stamps and the dandelion dies in it. So I'm just going to give you a look at the design series paper. So there's 12 different sheets here, which I'm going to show you, and you get 4 of each, so you get 48 sheets in total, and they're all double-sided. So I'll take you through the designs now. So dandelions with this yellow pattern. You've got coral pattern with stripes on the back. You've got a nice green pattern with the dragonflies on. And purple pattern with dragonflies on. There's actually a punch that goes with some of the dragonflies that you can get as well. The dandelions, nice monotone dandelion with the small dragonflies on. Misty Moonlight pattern with bees on the front. We've got stripes with a green pattern on. The purple dandelion, that Blackberry Bliss with a yellow pattern. We've got this nice Dipsy pattern with the dandelions, coral based dandelions with the Misty Moonlight on the back, and this Misty Moonlight pattern with the coral pattern on the back. And when I'm saying coral there, that's the Calypso coral colour. And then I'll quickly show you the Garden Wishes stamp set with the coordinating dies. So you can see you've got Made with Love for a True Friend, wishing you all the best. From all of us, your acts of kindness are like a breath of fresh air, and hello. With the bee and the trail and the dandelions. Now here you've got some dies that cut out some of the images. So for example, this goes with this image. This one goes with this image. And the bees cut out the bees on here. And you actually got 2 bee dies, and they also cut out the bees that we saw on the DSP area. So you can see we'll be using these later. This is one of the bees that I've cut out using the dies from this DSP. And you've also got these large dandelion dies, and then these that kind of layer up on top of them, some grass, some dandelion leaves, and then this trail that you can just cut into your cardstock. So they're really lovely. So we're going to use all of those things today. So to start off with, I thought we'd do a bit of stamping. So I'm going to be using my Stamparatus today. Stamparatus is Stampin' Up stamping platform, and it comes, you can see you've got this grid piece here which you use with rubber stamps, and then you can add this in, and this gives you the extra bit of depth that you need to use your photopolymer stamps with it. You get 2 magnets on the back. Make sure they don't ever get too close to each other because they'll ping together and they can break, and they can be quite sharp when they break. You get 2 stamping plates, which I think is quite unusual in stamping platforms, but it's really good because it means that if you've got something that you want to make and it's got a few stamps, so for example if you're using layering stamps, or if you've got a stamp and a sentiment and you want to keep putting them in the same place if you're bulk making, then you can put one on here, bring it down, put one on there, bring it down, and you can have them in the same place each time. The other thing that's quite good with this that we'll use later is that you can reposition it along, so that if you want things at regular intervals across or down your card, then you can just add your stamp on, stamp it, moving it along one, stamp it like this. So for now, I have used a piece of DSP, I've cut it down so that it fits onto my card front, and I've die cut the image that goes with this. So I'm going to take this out of here. And I've not actually mounted this stamp yet, so let's just mount that. You can just take the backing off this. This is the sheet with all the mounting stickers on it. So I'm just going to take that off. I'm going to pop this in here. Now I'm just going to peel that off, and you can see you've got the image on this side now, and that's also sticky ready to go on your stamping block. So because I'm going to be using the rubber cling stamps, then I don't need this black bit in here, so I'll put that to one side. I'm just going to position this on here, like this, and because I want that to go in that hole, I can then just position that over the top. And I'm going to pull that down, and then I can take this off and stamp it onto my card front. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp. You don't really need to take it off the stamping platform, but I'm just doing it so that you can see it on camera. You can also see how easy it is just to take the platform on and off. There we go, and then I'm just going to ink it up one more time. So then I'm just going to quickly colour in the image. And I'm using Just Jade here and Mango Melody. I'm just going to use the darker colours just to fill in the areas with a bit of shadow, and then I'll go over with the lighter colours. So you get a dark and a light shade with each set of the stamping blends, and it's really good, especially if you find a lot of the brands quite confusing because they have so many different colours and you're not sure which one blends with which. This makes it really easy because the dark Just Jade blends really nicely with the light Just Jade, and so on. So then we can add this on over the top, but I want to pop it up on dimensionals so that it gives a bit of a different effect. So if you've never seen our dimensionals before, they do come on sheets that are about twice this size. This is just a piece that I cut down for class. Just use the outside. And then I'm going to use this Made with Love for a True Friend sentiment. And I'm going to pop this on here. Now I'm going to use my Memento black ink again to just stamp that sentiment. This is my stamping chamois. It looks disgusting, but it's really good at cleaning your stamps. You wet it with tap water. You also clean it with tap water. It doesn't go perfectly clean, but it doesn't matter because it still cleans your stamps really well. And I just keep it in this, so a spare stamp case. I just keep it in there and it keeps it moist for a while, and then it starts to harden a bit and you can just soak it in some more water and it worked perfectly again. I've had this one for ages, as you can see. It's filthy, but it works really well. So I'm just going to bring in my trimmer and I'm just going to try and line up the top of the sentiment roughly with the line that I'm going to cut. So I just want to wiggle that around a bit, just so that I can make sure that it's roughly straight. And I'm happy that's about straight now, so I'm just going to cut that. As you can see, that goes roughly straight across there. And then I can use that line to make sure that everything else goes straight. So I've just cut a piece of bumblebee cardstock just to fit that, and then I'm going to stick that over there. I'm just going to glue this onto here. I'm going to pop some dimensionals on the back. And I'm just going to pop that at the bottom of our card. So that's our first card made. The second card we're going to make is a really simple one. I've just got a piece of the DSP that I've cut down to fit on the front of a Mossy Meadow A6 card blank. I'll put all the dimensions on my blog for these. So I'm just going to glue that on. So then I'm going to take another scrap of Whisper White cardstock. I'm going to pop that in there. And I'm going to use my Misty Moonlight ink because the background of this is Misty Moonlight. And actually both in the catalogue and in your DSP pack it tells you what colours are used in the suite, so that you can make sure that you've got the card and the ink that coordinate. And then I'm just going to stamp that. So then I've just cut that down, and I've also cut a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock to go behind it. So I'm not going to give you dimensions to this because it depends how big you cut down your sentiment to. So just cut the Mossy Meadow to about 1/4 of an inch bigger than your Whisper White piece. And then just stick some dimensionals in the back. And I'm just going to cut one of these dragonflies from the DSP. So I'm going to use this yellow one because that'll go with the dandelions. And often when I cut things out, I leave a white border around the outside, but I'm actually cutting quite close to the dragonfly in this one. And then I'm just going to glue the dragonfly. I'm just going to pop a bit of glue on his body. I'm just going to glue it onto there. So there's our second card. So for our third card, I've got a Misty Moonlight card blank, and I've got lots of these die cuts from the die set that I showed you earlier. So I've got both sets. You can see there's one set of grass that goes this way and one set that goes that way. I've got some of the flowers. I've also die cut some of the bees from this paper. So I'm going to start by gluing some of the grass across the bottom. And I'm going to leave the ends with no glue on so that they kind of stick out a bit and kind of a bit more grass-like. I'm just going to layer these up along the bottom. So I am overlapping them slightly, just to kind of create a more realistic effect. And I'm just going to trim off the edges where I just overlapped it a little bit. And I'm going to glue the biggest sunflower. So with this one, I've literally just cut the top bit of this out. So that's the biggest one, and I'm going to glue that as if it's the sun in the sky. And then with these, I'm going to use a couple of the small ones. I'm just going to bend them up. And these ones I'm just going to bend up the petals. And then I'm just going to stick the small ones inside the big ones. Now I'm going to leave this one as it is. And then I'm going to dot this across, these across here as flowers. And I'm just going to cut up some of these dimensionals. Just pop them behind. So the larger ones can take a full dimensional, but this small one just needs a little bit of a dimensional. And I'm going to add a couple of little bees. I'm going to use this small bit of Whisper White. And I'm going to do Wishing You All the Best in the Misty Moonlight ink. And then I'm just going to cut a little cloud shape around this. I'm just going to hand cut it with my scissors. So then I'm just going to pop that on some dimensionals there to finish our card. So there's our third card completed. So then for our fourth card, I'm going to start off with this dragonfly paper. And again, I've got an A6 card blank, and I'm just going to pop this on the front of it. And then what I wanted to do on this one is just pop the dragonflies up. So I've got another piece of the same DSP, and I'm just going to cut out these two dragonflies. So I'm just going to bend up the wings of the dragonflies. I'm just going to stick them over the other one, so I'm just going to put some glue just on their bodies. Then I'm going to use Wishing You All the Best again, and this time I'm going to use the Blackberry Bliss ink to go with the background cardstock of my card. And then I've just cut that down, and I've cut a piece of Blackberry Bliss cardstock that's about 1/4 inch bigger each way. And then I'm just going to glue that onto the card. So that's our 4th card finished. So we've got one final one to make. And for this one, I've got a Misty Moonlight card blank, and I've cut down this stripy piece to go on top. And then I've cut all these pieces using the dies I showed you earlier. So I've cut this, this and this in Misty Moonlight. And then I've cut each size of the dandelion in Bumblebee. So this is just the top of this. So I'm just going to trim off this extra bit of stem that we've got here. And then I'm going to glue that over there so that we've got the green stem but a yellow head. And then I'm just going to bend up the petals on here. And then I'm just going to glue these onto the main dandelion. I'm just going to offset them a bit so it gives a nice layered effect. So then I'm going to add these pieces onto my card. And for my sentiment, I'm going to take my stamp apparatus. Let's just take this off from the last one. I'm going to use my magnet for this one. I'm just going to pop that in there. And then I'm just going to use this little hello. And I'll pick that up on there. Just make sure it's nice and straight. And I'm going to use my Misty Moonlight. I'm just going to stamp the hello. And then I'm going to move it along one. And ink it up again. Stamp it down. Move it along one. Ink it up. Stamp it down. And then you can make sure that they're all evenly spaced and that they also are all in the same place, so they'll be in a nice neat line. So that is plenty for what we need. So I'm just going to go and cut this down. So I'm going to just trim this off the end of here. I'm going to glue this hello that we've just done onto a strip of Misty Moonlight cardstock that's about 1/4 inch thicker, wider. I'm just going to Put one of these elegant faceted gems, one of the clear ones, just in the centre of the flower, just to add a little something. Now I'm just going to pop some dimensionals on the back of here. I'm just going to pop that across the bottom there. So that's our final card finished, so let's bring in the others. So I hope you enjoyed today's project. If you did, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below. And if you'd like to see future projects, you can also click subscribe. If you click the bell button and select all, YouTube will also notify you when I have new projects live on my channel. You can find all of the products that we've used today in the description below, and you can also find a host code there. If you put the host code in your basket before you check out, then I will send you a free gift before the end of the month. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.